letting go is this beautiful technique, but we have to know when to use it. The reason being, using letting go in the wrong situation, in the wrong context, can actually make things worse for you. This is a trap that I think I fell into during my path of practicing letting go techniques and being absorbed in the letting go and Sedona method communities. Now, what is letting go good for? Well, let's say something, you're holding on to something, some fears, some emotions, some shame, some guilt. These are all things that aren't really us, right? Like some situation in the past has made us feel a certain way, and we've derived some meaning based on it, right? So we've created meaning, and we've now said, oh, I'm flawed and defective because of some event in the past that has now become a belief system, now become a program in us. So using letting go, releasing these emotions and giving them back, this is a technique that really leads to that freedom. However, we have to know when to use it. The reason is because not all shadows are shadows to be released. A shadow being something you're not aware of. Now, something you're not aware of, some part of you that is holding you back in life. Now, Kim Barter, he defines 3 types of shadows. And when I heard this, it was something that really fascinated me, but it also made sense. And I was like, oh wow, this is why you have to know when to use the right technique in the right situation. Because not everything is something to be let go of. Something to be let go of, Kim Barter calls an introject or introjection. This is something that we've learned from the external world, and now we're holding on to some shame, some guilt, some fear. That's the introjection. But there's 2 other types of shadows. The next one is called a projection. This is where we project qualities out onto somebody, and we're projecting those qualities out on them or into the external world because of some part of us that we've not owned, some part of us that we haven't owned yet. So we have to practice re-ownership techniques. And the third shadow is the split ego state. This is where part of us wants something and another part of us wants something else, and we're kind of like tossing and turning between these 2 parts. And this is because, well, we're made of lots of different parts, lots of different sub-brains, sub-minds, right? That have these competing interests. One part of us wants to do this, one part of us wants to do that. We're not truly aligned on it. So the split ego state shadow, that involves reintegrating back into that whole complete self. And you might have heard of parts work. That's where parts work comes in, looking at these different parts of us that we've disowned, these different aspects of the self, and sort of kind of being on the same page again, being on the same page, realizing, wow, it's actually really beneficial for me to be on the same page with myself, have that conversation with myself, with the different parts of myself, and be like, yeah, now we're on the same page, right? Because you get on the same page with your friends and relationships in your life. How often do you get on the same page with yourself? So that's the split ego state. Now, what's the problem here with the letting go? Well, let's say you just let go of whatever's coming up, and you don't really look at the symptoms, and you don't use it to examine what is it telling you about yourself, and where is this coming from. So you haven't really, you don't really know or the technique you're using. You don't really know if now is the right time to use it. That's a trap I fell into. I thought, let's let go of everything. Anything that comes up, let go. But sometimes anger, sometimes you need that to teach you something, right? Because anger is a great boundary setter. When you get angry, it's telling you some part of yourself that you feel that you haven't really owned yet. That part of you that's like, okay, this person's disrespecting me in some way, and I'm going to set some boundary. But when I was practicing so much letting go, I didn't realize that, and I would just let go of the anger, the symptom, and I didn't really look at the cause. What is this cause? What is this emotion teaching me? So what we really need to do is look at firstly what the emotion is teaching me, and what I might need to know about it before then letting go of it, if we need to let go of it, or using that emotion to reintegrate some part of ourselves that we've rejected or cut off or disowned. And so this is really where we shift past letting go into a more, what I would call, embodied approach, more holistic approach, where we are understanding letting go is a certain technique. I'm going to use it in this context. Positive refocus, right? Positive thinking. It's a great technique. I'm going to use it in this context. And so on and so forth. Now let's just talk about positive refocus and positive thinking. I think 10 years ago there was a craze where people were writing so many books about positivity, and then everybody started to become delusionally positive, and people saw the shadow side of that, and we now, society kind of shifted away from that. And I think part of it is because there was this very concrete view of what positivity and positive focus was. It's like, here's the paradigm, here's the technique, and I'm going to use it in every situation. Boom, 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 boom. But that can be toxic. That can be not beneficial when you actually need to look at aspects of yourself. If you're still being like, I'm really positive about this, maybe you won't really take it seriously, right? So there's a time and place when you need to take it seriously. This all leads me back to seeing the nuance, going from that concrete, fixed view to more of a nuanced perspective, when now we can understand and now we can see, here's a technique, or here's a paradigm, I'm going to use it in these situations, I understand why I'm using it, what it does, why I'm using it, where I can use it at, and use that purposefully. So just to summarize, you don't want to let go in all circumstances. In fact, just ask yourself firstly, what am I letting go of? And have a little bit of awareness around it. Now, don't go crazy with this and stress out about, am I really letting go correctly? I'm not letting go correctly, Don't worry about that. But just have one part of your mind thinking about what it is that I'm letting go of. What it is that the symptom that's now arisen to the surface, what is it teaching me, and where may it have come from? So now I can look at this smilingly, curiously, and investigate the thing that's arisen with a very curious mind, without judgment, without craving or aversion, but witnessing. Okay, where's this coming from? And maybe it's a time to let go, but maybe it's a time to reintegrate. Maybe it's a time to communicate with the different parts of ourselves. And when we can do that, we move into a better place. Because when we let go of something that we needed to integrate, some part of us that we've rejected, what it really does is it perpetuates that split, or perpetuates the problem, and it reinforces it. It's like further rejecting ourselves. There's a part of us that's us, and we're rejecting it even more, by the process of letting go. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to further reject ourselves in those situations. If you had any thoughts on this video, let me know down below. And I hope you learned something. Catch you later.